will help you build your home.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tydarium Hangar, and welcome back to the third day of Thundercats Week here at Tydarium Hangar. Now we're going to talk today about the Thundercats Cats Lair, and this is kind of an impressive playset. It's one of the harder playsets to find on the market today, and it's still possible to find them, which I just recently found this in the last couple of months, but I do want to say that there are some breakage points and things to look out. We're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to discuss the features and the action features that it has. It is a pretty cool playset, and it starts to make me wonder, will we see another one like a Classics or an Ultimates or those kinds of things? We don't know just yet, but let's take a look at what LJN did back in 1986, 87? Coming up. Okay, so before we get into this, let's do a size comparison and just kind of see the size of this Castle Lair versus what we all sort of know the Castle Grayskull, the vintage Castle Grayskull, just kind of looking at it side by side. This is what it looks like, and this is bigger overall. It's a little taller, but they're different dimensions, all this kind of stuff. So it's a different aesthetic that they're going for, but they're both relatively empty shells with a few things going on. Okay, so starting with the outside, there are a couple of features with this, and like most of the features are on the inside, like most other play sets, but you can push a lever in the back to lift this up, and that was kind of how I was holding Chitara on. We will get into that here in just a second. So it lifts up, and now this is where the Thunder Tank's supposed to be stored. Now I did have a parts one, and I just kind of stripped it down to take the arms and legs off of it so it fits in there, and it looks like, oh hey, we got a Thunder Tank hiding in there. So I think that's a little bit fun. That's something I like to do. It does have some stickers on the paws, and we do have some, they are screwed in or bolted in or kind of snapped in or whatever, some claws. So, and I didn't have to put that together, so I'm not really sure how that goes. On the other side, we have what's called the red ion cannon. Now, for some reason, I keep thinking this is for the mutants. I always see the mutants in it, but it makes more sense that it's actually the Thundercats ion cannon, because there is the mutant attack sled, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But it's kind of a cool little just one molded piece here, and it does look like it's a seat and the figure can fit in there, but it's something that most people just kind of stick right here, or you could stick maybe a hover cat with no wings or something like that would fit in there also. There's a couple of cool things you could slide in this slot here that would be pretty cool. The next feature I really want to talk about, zooming in on these steps. Now these stairs, they are very small, and there's no way you can fit a figure on it. Now, as I figured I could fit her on it, you still really can't. Her feet are double the size of each step. But I kind of stuck her little, playing with fate here, I stuck that inside those claws to get her to stand there, so it looked like she was standing. Tempting fate with that bow. I don't want to mess it up, but yeah, that's the only thing I could think of to make a figure stand on there. Next up, we got the top, the head, the cat head. So this, we'll see a little bit more from it from behind too, but this is the button trigger, the activated trigger button to activate the electronics. Mine do not work. My electronics don't work like most of these. They're a bit shoddy. He does have some cool teeth in here. I have seen a yellow teeth variant. Now, there's a yellow teeth variant out there, and I have seen it before, like in pictures, but I haven't seen one for sale. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. There are some variants going on, but this is a really cool kind of feature here, where it does sort of go, it doesn't go 360 because it, well, it might, but I don't want to tempt it. It's got wiring and stuff like that. I might be able to get the electronics working on it one day, but you can move it around, but it stays pretty much where it needs to go. The way it's designed, there's like a bar in there and a couple of things, some bolts and stuff. But it wasn't really that hard to put together, but it is quite an interesting feat of 80s technology. Okay, so if your electronics worked, every time that you shot this with your, well, there's a couple things. You could shoot it with it's the mutant attack sled, and I don't have that. I'm missing the mutant attack sled. And that's kind of cool. It has like interactivity with it. It's got a blast shield that kind of comes down, and then you can put it back up. If it gets destroyed by this, it's got a blast shield that comes down. But we also have something else that works. We've got a laser sort of backpack adapter, and what you would do is just basically you would shoot that at there's a good guy and a bad guy one, but it all works the same, and you'd shoot the lasers at the Thundercats cat lair until something started to happen. So as you shot it, then you would see damage register. I think it takes 9 shots. It will, and it's kind of cool too because I integrated, if let's say your electronics fail or you're out of batteries, you can still make everything work by doing this. But when you get to the last one, it springs the doors open. But I'm going to show you a flaw in this here in a bit. So I'm going to lift up on this as I do it. And boom, flings the doors open. Mine sticks a bit, and I'll get into that. But kind of a fun play feature at the end of the day. Maybe 40 years later, it's not as fun. Looking at this from the side, there's more assembly required to this thing than I anticipated. Getting the used one, I thought it was going to show up ready to go, and it was partially disassembled when I got it, which I guess is okay. I mean, you got to ship the thing, you got to think about reality, but the seam line right here, so this screws in, this down here screws in, there's connector pieces to it that are fragile and frail. They're frail. And so with all of that, the side can kind of show you, if you see it, this is sort of leaning down a bit, so I lift it up, and over time, all the weight of this head on this piece can make it kind of bow. Some of them have that problem, some of them don't. It doesn't look like it has a problem, but it does affect the performance of the doors on mine. Get it from behind, we're going to start at the lower level, and there are a couple of things to look at. First off, you can kind of see the claws right there, and I think I have a piece of foam still in it from shipping. I didn't get all of that out. I hate those packing peanuts. They're not good. Anyway, so looking at the first feature here, we do have a trap door. When you pull this out, he falls down the trap door into the gel cell. All right, so you just close that up, slide that in. Easier than I thought. So looking inside here, you're going to say, okay, well, where is Jackalman? Well, here's a little door to open it up, and you can see Jackalman's in there. And then on the sides, there are these little side pieces to hold it in place. So I'm going to kind of try to zoom in there and show that. But there's one of these on either side, and a lot of the parts are usually broken even to connect it. So if you find a part, you're going to have to like figure out how to get it connected because they won't connect themselves. And which I've fixed about a few hundred toys now, so it was really simple for me to do. The average person doesn't fix toys a lot, and it might not be so easy. I just inserted some pins and it made it work. So anyhow, it's a nice little gel cell, kind of cool. If you ever wonder what that weird piece is and you see it, that's where it goes to. One on each side. I'm going to do some shaky cam stuff right here. Okay, so in shaky cam mode, there's some nice stickers. It's really hard to get from the tripod to show this, but these were misapplied slightly. This one's kind of worn, and then you get up here to the top, some other stickers and stuff. That's kind of cool. So interesting looking right there. There's also this sticker for a dashboard kind of sticker thing going on up there, and this is where you have a seat, and you push that in, lift it up, you have battery compartment, which mine's nice and clean. I'm not sure. The electronics sometimes sort of work. I might take it apart and clean contacts inside of all of that to make it work again. Here's the on and off button and all that kind of stuff. So it should work. I should be able to get this bad boy to work again. And then put him in here. Sometimes the seat / battery cover is missing and all that kind of stuff. So, but going down here, a couple of problem areas are the connectors. Maybe we can see it when this comes down. These connectors here break. So that's a problem area that when you want to buy one of these, look out for that. Next up, there's this ladder. It's an interesting ladder. It's weird because I've seen it around. I'm like, what exactly is it supposed to do? And the whole function it's supposed to serve is to just kind of stand here and barely stand there. And then you can climb from one area to another. And then so with that, then you could have like Chitara up here manning this computer, and then you could have Lino. Scary. Let's just put Snarf up there. Snarf manning this computer. And so with that, you have this cool ladder that sort of gets the job done, and then they can man their positions up top, and that's kind of cool. So one of the things about playsets is how do you get from one floor to the other, and now you can do it. But I have a super deluxe ladder. If you're wild and crazy like me, you can combine 2 ladders together and make a really tall ladder that more or less, if 2 good ladders together, you could make it all the way to the top. Like so, I don't know, fun, weird stuff I like to do that's out of the norm. So I want to show you the levers that actually make this thing go up and down, which is kind of cool overall. And it's simplistic, but yet it gets the job done. All right, so what do I think of the Cat's Lair? I think that it is an interesting looking playset. It does match the animation really well for the most part. I mean, it's not an exact replication of the animation, but you get the job done. It gets the job done. It is underscaled massively for the toy line for 6-inch scale, but at the end of the day, they couldn't have made this thing 4 times bigger. It would never have sold, and no kid would have room for it. So I understand all of that. It's big for what it is, and it's actually in some cases too big for display purposes, but it does look good. It has a few play features. Most of the play features are only fun for about 1 minute and not much longer than that, but I think it's a great display stand, but still doesn't have enough places for other figures to be displayed. It really should have had more places that were displayable, but like I hadn't pointed out, but there's not really a place for them to stand to look out this window. There's windows, but there's no place to put them to stand unless you have them sort of straddling on that handle. But it still looks pretty cool, and I like that I have one. I like that I got one of these, but would it be better than what they're doing with like Masters of the Universe, where we got the Super 7 Snake Mountain, the Matty Collector Castle Grayskull, which were upgrades to vintage? Well, if Super 7 ever did one of these, they said that they would do with the outside looking like the Cat's Lair, but the inside being one floor with a bunch of features in one floor. So I think that's a good way to do it. That's a pretty good idea. And so with that, what do you think about this playset? Do you have one of these? Have you ever seen one of these? Is this the first time you've been introduced to the Thundercats Cat's Lair? I'd like to know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Teddy Hanger out.
This is not any tiger that I know.
That cave did this to me.
Well, it was the right thing to do.
Thunder, thunder, thunder.